Just a quick editor's note before we begin. Thank you for waiting for this video. I started online school recently and I started volunteering with a nonprofit organization called Evergreen Initiative to teach coding. With homework and curriculum, I haven't really got the opportunity to edit until now. I worked really hard on this video and I hope you enjoy it. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Welcome to Connect Coding, where we connect coding to you. My name is Natalie, and on today's episode of Python Fundamentals, we will be making a project using something new called string formatting and what we've learned from Python Fundamentals 1 and 2. So let's do a quick review. The data types we've covered so far are floats, integers, and strings. Strings are a series of characters encased in quotes. They can be single quotes, double quotes, and even triple quotes. And if you have the same quotes on the outside and the inside of the string, you can use the backward slash. That will let Python know, hey, don't end the string here, end it where intended. Floats are numbers with decimals, and integers are whole numbers, which can also be negative. We also covered variables, which are chicken nugget boxes. Variables are containers that can hold just about anything, from strings to floats to even other variables. Another thing we learned would be a function called print, which lets you write down anything. At the end of it, we have to have parentheses or a portal so that we can pass things through it. Integers and floats can't step into the portal, but variables and strings can. But let's say your variable was holding an integer or a float. It can still pass through the portal since it's a variable. So now that our review is over, let's begin the project. Story time! Let's say you went to your favorite fast food restaurant and ordered what you normally got. You look at the prices and the cashier says,
"Hey, add the prices together yourself."
And now you have to pay them the calculated price. Let's do it! I'm going to start by setting some values I'll be using throughout the program. You can substitute them or even change them out, but I'm just going to write them down so that it's easier to follow along with. For tax, I'm going to say that it's 5%. For what I'm ordering, I'm going to say item 1 is equal to $10, and item 2 is equal to $2.25. Now let's assign these values to actual variables. So we're going to go item 1 is equal to $10. Item 1 is a float because it's a decimal number. And now we're going to define item 2, which is equal to 2.25. And because it has a decimal, this is a float. But now we have to think. The next thing we're going to be defining is the tax percentage, right? But tax percentage, is there a data type for percent? Unfortunately, there isn't a data type for percentage, but we know that decimals are out of 100, right? And so are percentages. So that means we can make tax percentage a float. So we know that percentages are out of 100. So since our percentage for tax is 5, we're going to go 5 out of 100. 5 divided by 100, which means 0.05. So let's create the tax percentage. We're going to make a variable called tax p, and it's going to be equal to 0.05, which is the number we got before. So from here, we have to figure out how to calculate tax. Tax is basically the price of the meal multiplied by the percentage of tax. So in our case, the tax percentage would be 5%, and the total cost would be the price of item number 1 and item number 2. We take these and multiply them together to get the final tax. So let's write that into code. I'm going to assign the total cost to a variable called total cost. Notice here how I'm using camel case. Then to find the tax, I just take total cost multiplied by tax p. Now I'm going to create a variable called tax f, as in tax final. This will give me the final value that I'm going to add to my total cost to make my final cost, which is the money that I will pay at the cashier window. So here we're assigning the tax f to total cost times tax p. Now we just have to calculate our final cost, which is final cost is equal to tax final, and we're going to add our total cost. So now let's tell the cashier that we finished our project. Type print. The overall price is %f, and then outside of the quotes, % final cost. Now, what does %f do? You can think of it as a placeholder. It's a blank that you'll eventually fill in at the end of the string. This is called embedding or formatting a string. So when we put %f, that represents float. Let's say the variable that we wanted to format into the string was a string or an integer. For strings, you would use %s, and for integers, you would use %d. And this is our output. Good job! You just made a project. What weird customer service. But it helped us make a project which allowed us to calculate tax and tell the user what the final price was. In the next video, I will be going more into depth about formatting strings, and I'll show you some different ways on how to do it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Disconnecting! That's the end of my video. I hope you all enjoyed.